more people than I expected to see. I know a lot of people are afraid of cold air, and a lot of people are at home planning for their hangovers. I wasn't expecting to see a whole lot of people today, but it's very nice that we have these. And these are the right people. The right people are here. Don't tell the others I said that. I'm going to shoot down a few things about Happy New Year today, if you don't mind, and hopefully prop them back up when I'm done shooting them down. As a spiritualist, or as spiritualists, we tend to see things more clearly, I think, than some other people. We understand instead of believing in something. It's not just because somebody in a nice suit told us, or we read it in some ancient book or something. We've experienced things and we know them to be true. Now, we're not perfect as spiritualists, but I've always felt that we're more on the right path than some other people. I'm not naming names or anything like that, or saying that we're better than anyone. I just feel that we see things a little bit more clearly than others. We have our physical lives here. It's tough. This is not a fun place to be sometimes. We have a lot of things going on in our lives. We have hurdles, challenges, we have mountains. Sometimes we can step over them, sometimes we climb, and sometimes we have to crawl. But we have those things in our lives. We have issues that we have to deal with. We have health issues. We have financial issues. Issues with relationships and social things. Sometimes we have political and moral issues. And sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. We have all those things in our lives here, and then we die. And it seems like, life's what, and then you die. But that's really not the case. It's not a beginning or an end, it's just change. Death is not the end. So don't work yourself to death. Rather, work toward going to spirit. There's a little saying that I want to share. It's sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. That eliminates all the failures in your life if you think that way. Okay? Bumper stickers will be available later. When we talk about death, we refer to it when we're in spiritualism as physical death, death of the body, not of the spirit. And most religions also feel that way about it. And death is not the end. In the Bible, if you look at the first book of Corinthians, it says that death is the last enemy we shall defeat. That tells us a lot of things. It tells us that death is an enemy. It tells us that it's our last battle. Maybe, maybe not. But it also says we will defeat death. Now, if we defeat death, then there is no death, is there? Because if you beat the champion, he's not the champion anymore, right? So if we defeat death, the Bible says there is an enemy, because we're going to defeat it. But we do have one enemy other than death that we really have to bow to sometimes. And it's an enemy that we have created. And that enemy is time. Time is an illusion that we have created in our minds to make our lives easier and to maintain control of our minds and our environment. And now, it controls us. We are the victims of time. The past is unchangeable. The future is what they call malleable. It's something we can work toward creating. But really all we have control over is right now, the present. Because time doesn't really go from beginning to middle to end. It's just a constant. It's cyclical. Calendars should all be round. Okay? I have a calendar at home that ends every month. So the end of the world doesn't come every month. The end of the calendar does. It's something that we have created. So this is New Year's Eve. Is it the end of something? Is it the beginning of something? No. It's neither. It's circular. It's round. The Mayan calendar, I think we've all heard a little bit about that in the news over the last few years, is a round calendar that keeps going and going and going. And a lot of people think, well, there was a certain part of that calendar that said that the calendar was done, and there really wasn't. The whole thing was based on a brick that somebody found in a temple in the Mayan city. And the brick was engraved with the date, with 12/21/2012. And the brick was put backwards into the wall so the date would never, ever be seen again. So So somebody pulled it out of there and said, "Ooh, look, a date. This must be the date that the calendar ends." And we all panicked and thought it was the end of the world, even though we had denounced that calendar. Oh no, it's not real. But oops, maybe it is. So we all kind of, what we did was we denounced the calendar and we turned over to the Gregorian calendar, which was developed by Gregory XIII, Pope Gregory XIII in the year about 1582. On our calendar, which is the widest used calendar in the world, it is of course the end of the year 2017. The Islamic calendar is the year 1434. The Buddhist calendar gives us the year 2561. The Hebrew calendar, it's an old one, it's the year 5778. Now the Gregorian calendar is supposed to be the best one. That's why we use it so much. It works perfectly. Okay? Every 4 years you have to add a day, otherwise the whole thing goes haywire. That's like buying a car and saying every couple of days you got to put air in that right front tire or the car's going to flip over. Buy a car with 4 good tires. How about we make a calendar that just works? Now we have that leap year thing every 4 years. Unless the year can be divided by 100, then it's not a leap year. Unless it can be divided by 400. Nothing to it, right? I don't care, I'm not going to be here 400 years. But it still seems to me a really faulty calendar that we're using here. But we are slaves to time. The time on the calendar, the time on the clock, everywhere, it's time. I, all my life, wore a wristwatch. Not all my life, an infant would wear. But when I was 12 years old, I got a watch. And I always had a watch on from that time. There was never a time when I didn't wear a wristwatch except to take a shower or go in the pool or something. And about a year ago, I had a very expensive, very nice watch, and it broke. And I said, I'll have to, get it fixed. I sent it out. It took a long time. It couldn't fix it. And I didn't really want to spend the money on another one, so I bought a cheap watch. Lasted about a week. The watch still runs beautifully, but I have larger than average wrists, and band broke. So I found a different kind of band, and I bought another cheap watch, and the same thing happened. So I'm not wearing a watch, which is kind of unusual for me. And I thought, well, that's kind of unusual. How do I get through life? But then when I got in my car one day, I realized if I look up on the console, there's a clock there. If I look down at the radio, there's another clock there. And if I reach in my pocket, I got a cell phone with another clock on it. So I'm not really without a watch. It's just different. And actually, it feels like I'm going back in time, even though it's technology. The old guys used to reach in their pocket for their pocket watch, take it out and look at it, oh yeah, and then put it, and that's what I'm doing, except I'm doing it with a cell phone. But it's there, it's a pocket watch. So, we are slaves to time. We're running out of time. All good things in time. He died before his time. Really? I don't think so. How about, I guess it was his time. That's a little more accurate. Time waits for no person. It's supposed to be no man, but I'm politically correct. Time will tell. Time heals all wounds. One of my favorites. Time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. You might take a minute to get that one. But when we talk about time, it is a product of our minds and this physical world. In spirit, in the world of spirit, they don't have time, at least not the way we understand it. If you call on someone from spirit, they're here instantly. They don't have to get on a spirit bus or a spirit train or something like that to come to you. They're here instantly because time is constant and time is eternal. Yes, as spirit people, we move forward. We progress toward the enlightenment that we seek, knowledge, wisdom. But time is not the same as it is here. It's cyclical. It's constant. So as we are here in the spirit, in the physical world, and we're perceiving the passing of time, we're kind of like trees. Our foliage starts to change color. Some of it falls to the ground. And we realize little things like, one of the few things I do without my glasses is look for my glasses. That's about one of the only things that I can do. So it's not just the outside that's slowing down and changing a little bit. Now, there's one other thing I want to talk about here, and that is something called a bucket list. And that really is not a good thing. Do not make a bucket list, please, because when you set a goal, you set a limit. Let's say you set a goal, you want to see the pyramids in Egypt. So now you get on a plane, you go to Egypt, you see the pyramids. Now what? You're done. Time to die? I don't think so. Let's not do it that way. So don't make a list of things you want to do before you die. Just make a list of things you want to do. Easy. You can finish your list in spirit if you have to, okay? Now, I found something that's going to kind of turn the tables a little bit on the whole bucket list thing. But I thought it was a little bit amusing, a little bit profound, and just very, very fitting to what I'm speaking of this morning. And it is by a man by the name of Gary Rogers. And it is a list, the 11 things you can't do when you're dead. Not really a bucket list, just advice on how to do things. And I think it's funny the way he has them listed starting at 11, so it's like a countdown. So he's kind of looking at time a little bit different than 2. Number 11, take a day off work. Can you imagine anyone wishing they'd spent more time at work? Number 10, get a family photo done and give your loved ones something to treasure. Number 9, reconnect with old friends. Think of whom you lost touch with. Pick up the phone, email, Facebook, before it's too late. Number 8, take the dog for a walk. Make it a long one. If you don't have a dog, borrow one. Rent one if you have to. Dogs are cool, and the more you love them, the more they love you. Number 7, send a nice letter. Doesn't matter to who. Just let those feelings out while you can, and you'll never regret it. Number 6, try something new. A new restaurant. Take an art course. Bungee jump. Talk to a hippie. Go geocaching. Give $10 to some random homeless guy. Quit your job. Pack up and head south. Don't stay in the rut. That's your end. Number 5, watch children play. Make it a long watch. If you don't have kids, go borrow some. Rent some if you have to. Lots of them. Better yet, let the dog and the kids play together. There's nothing like the sound of dogs barking and children laughing. Number 4, go on a picnic. Take your spouse or your lover, preferably not both. Maybe your mom, your dad, daughter, or son. Pack chicken and potato salad, cold Pinot Grigio, and that red checkered blanket. Number 3, volunteer. Help out a cause, join a service club or a cleanup group. Help out seniors, raise money for guides, canvass for the Heart Foundation or Cancer Society or MS or MD. Give something back. Number 2, write that book. Admit it, everybody's got a book inside of them. Start it or finish it. And number 1, sign up as an organ donor. Let everyone you know that you did that and encourage them to do the same. Now, there's just one thing that I want to add, and I really can't stress this enough. Do not try to rent children. Stay away from Craigslist. Just not a good idea. So what I'd like everybody to do today, keep in mind, have a very happy now, and use it to create a happy and healthy new year. Thank you.
Thank you.